Hey, everybody, welcome to the Biz Chicks TV. This is the place for tips, tools, and things that you need to know to take the hassle out of your hustle. Today is Friday. That means we're talking tech, media, and social media for this week. And we are just about, I think this is the last one for the year.
Yep, it
Yeah.
is.
So it's not going to be very long, but it will be impactful. So sit back, relax, and let's get into Tech Life Weekly.
Yay.
So I am going to pull up my little stories here. This week in tech history, December 21st, 1937, Walt Disney premieres the animated film Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It was the first full length animated feature film, taking 3 years and nearly $1.5 million to produce, a massive amount for a feature film in 1937. Walt Disney had to mortgage his house to help him finance the film.
I would say that was a good bet.
It was because I think that helped to propel him forward. Um, yeah. The first electric Christmas tree lights, December 22nd, 1882, Edward Johnson, an associate of Thomas Edison, has walnut-sized bulbs made specifically for him to wire his Christmas tree with electric light. The 80 red, white, and blue bulbs form the first set of electric Christmas tree lights in history. Prior to this, people would traditionally decorate their trees with, get this, wax candles.
Yes. That's why there were so many house fires in those houses made of crumbling wood. I mean,
Uh,
we weren't I'm not even going to say we. Folks weren't very bright, were they?
uh, Flammable curtains material of fire. Okay. And my next story only had a few of them. Uh, the personal computer is awarded the Man of the Year award for Time Magazine, December 26, 1982. It is awarded to the personal computer, calling it Machine of the Year, the first non human to receive the award since its creation in 1927. I did not know
Hmm.
Time Magazine was out that long. Describing the personal computer as 1982 greatest influence for good or evil, the article titled The Computer Moves In recognizes that the capabilities of the personal computer can be multiplied almost indefinitely by connecting it to a network of other computers, which can be used to access electronic databases or send electronic mail. The article stated that 80% of Americans expected that in the fairly near future, home computers will be as commonplace as television sets or dishwashers.
Well, that that kind of figured out, didn't it? And I bet they didn't figure that we would be holding these computers in the palm of our hand and making calls on them.
Nope, they didn't get that far. But the computer moves in. And my final story today, Jeff Bezos was named Person of the Year December 27th, 1999. Uh, and he is the founder of Amazon. And that is your tech history for this week.
Wow.
Yeah, just I was thinking when they were doing the computer as the person of the year, then the robots will be sitting there one day. I'm like,
I mean, it's interesting how far we've come, and people keep asking me about technology and things. And when I teach, I talk about how year over year doesn't seem like there's that much change. Let's take the Apple iPhone for example. You're like, you just changed the color to blue this time. Where's really the change? But when you look at it compared to when they started in 2008, That is there's been a huge amount of change from the iPhone 1 to where we
Mhm.
are now. We're on the 15?
16,
16.
heading into 17.
Exactly. So there's been really major changes, including, I mean, there's some things you cannot do on the iPhone 1. Why would you take a picture with that? If you look at the quality
Oh
of the
my god.
images and the short video, the battery life, the apps, so much change has happened. So year over year, it's like not much. But when you look over the course from 2000, we're at now, it's 17 years basically.
Yeah, because it started 2007 and we are at 2024.
Yeah, yeah, so 17 years.
And they keep on doing new things. That thing can write for you and help you send out a better email so you don't look foolish.
Exactly, the AI is intimately involved in the new iPhone ecosystem, or the Apple ecosystem, let's just say that. And if you think about how how now we're able to really conduct business. If you're away and you're like, oh, I don't have my computer, you can really do a lot. I mean, again, I brought this up before, but this was in 2000. Ooh, it had to be like 2014 or something like that. I was at the NAB conference in Vegas. A student asked me for a recommendation. I was like, why would you not ask me this before? I'm in Vegas. So I'm like, okay, I'll write it now. Just hang tight. So I went into like an empty, they're always at hotels and stuff. So I went into an empty conference room and I had my BlackBerry at the time.
Mhm.
So it had to be before 2014. So I had my BlackBerry, and the thing I liked about BlackBerry was the keyboard. I loved that it had a physical keyboard. It was very sleek, and I was able to use my thumbs and type out the entire thing and send it off to wherever, it needed to go. That before, prior to that, I would have had to actually go to a quote internet cafe or someplace that had computers, or back to my hotel and use the computers, like and you had to pay for them. Now
And they were mhm.
you don't have to do that. I mean, they still have business centers and such in hotels, but most people are either traveling with their devices, they can do it on their phones. I don't need to check in. I remember having to physically check in to your flight. They're like, oh, well, let me go down to the business center and check in on the computer. Now it's like you check in on your phone.
Right, and look, boarding pass and everything. You don't there's no
Oh,
need
yeah.
to stand there for the little paper.
I haven't gotten a physical boarding pass in forever. I just use my phone because I'm like, I don't want anything extra to lose. Not that
Mm-mm.
I lose things anyway. I'm good with not losing things. But in the midst of travel, you have all these bags. Even though I like to be simple, but you have a lot of stuff going on. So just picture, for example, if you have children and you're trying to get them together and you're trying to keep track of paper tickets. I mean, I know people had to do this before, but we improve. When we know better, we do better.
Right. And technology, again, technology is anything that makes an activity easier. That is
Indeed.
what technology is all about. We're doing things a lot easier now than what we did in the we didn't have to chop the wood and bring it in and boil
No.
it on a in the middle of the kitchen. Okay, we had a stove. We didn't have to bring the water in, we didn't have to bring the wood in, we didn't a lot of things that we're using right now are the people prior to the, who are they? The silent generation? They're probably
Yeah.
thinking witchcraft.
No, so here's the thing. The It's helpful that, so like my parents are silent generation, right? So because they had us like older, so everybody else's parent like that is my age, their parents were like boomers. But no, my parents were silent generation, so they really didn't have time for the rubbish. So it's helpful because my sister and I are really into technology and that type of thing. It's helpful. Yes, you do become the tech support for them, but like my mother really wanted to learn a lot of this stuff. So we always had like computer technology and stuff around us, and she would always like ask questions. So,
Mhm.
it's helpful in that way. When you have silent generation that have children that are much younger, that's helpful.
Right. And now the boomers are the ones who started this tech stuff. And
Exactly.
a lot of them are already hip to the tech. They're the ones that are what are they called? First adopters now of the new tech that's coming out. Um,
Yes, the early adopters.
they're the
Yes.
early adopters. They are the ones putting things through their paces. And why? They have the funds to do it because it's not easy when a new device comes out and it's a gazillion dollars for you to use it. That's their
Exactly.
So we have the early adopters. Then they have some more that are not so early, but they still jump on board um, just to get involved with what's happening. Technology is not going to slow down.
It never will. Technology will only increase. And, it will be interesting to see how people act upon technology so I'm the type of adopter that I can be an early adopter for some things when it comes to software and apps. But when it comes to
Mhm.
hardware, that I'm going to be mad if it ends up in a technological graveyard. I don't do that. I never buy the first generation of anything because I'm like, I don't know that they've worked out all the bugs. Because here's the other thing. I was just reading something about it was on social media. There's Jordan the Stallion, that the social media, he's on TikTok. He has like millions of followers on TikTok.
I've heard of him.
He's 26, but he looks like he's 46. So people keep calling him older. So that's the whole running thing, right? He's young, but he's old. So he puts forth these things that he's seen on social media or whatever, and he's like, "Don't worry, I'm already on it." So he'll like stitch a video. And today, don't ask me why I was up this early, but it was like 5 o'clock. Yes, I know why. I fell asleep on the couch. Then I got myself up. Then I came to my bedroom, but I couldn't fall back asleep. So I said, okay, well, let me look. And Jordan had just posted something because he lives in LA, right? So it was like 2 a.m. there. And it was Black and Decker's space saving popcorn maker from the 90s, the 80s and 90s. So it and showed somebody making it. So it fit like underneath the cabinet. Kind of like, remember the old school coffee makers that you could attach it to the
Yeah.
cabinet? Right. So it was like that. You would put the kernels on one side. The other side you would put your butter for melting, and then it would pop. They provided bags for you, paper bags, and then you had the melted butter to pour on top if you so desired. So everybody was like, and it still worked. So the premise of my dissertation defense here is that that's an appliance from the 80s and 90s that still works basically with no problem, because things then, I would say up until, like the just at the 2000s, were made to last. It was about the technology, not
Mhm.
the profit. So
Right.
now it has really become about the profit. And so that's really why you're going to have this drive in technology, because they'll change things just enough so that you have to buy more. It's the same thing with Apple and their stupid peripherals, although they have fixed the laptop, the MacBooks. Now it's a woven braided power cord as opposed to the
Yeah.
plastic one. I went through three and I was livid. I'm like, do you understand how expensive this machine is, that I should not have to buy anything else? I was like, my mother has the computer we had in the 80s and the cord is still intact. And if I plugged it in, I'm sure it would work. This should not be a thing. But again, everything is removable and breakable, so you have to buy another one. Save the actual machine. They don't want that to happen because then that's on them. But if they're like, well, we can make more money off of the peripherals, like the power cords and the dongles, let's do that. So also let's change the input for the headphone jack. So, and we'll tell them that it's for 55% improved sound, but really it's so that they can't use what's there anymore. This is proprietary, and now they have to buy a dongle. So my thing is, you don't have to play these reindeer games. So the point is, technology will always, as you were saying, will always move on and will just get more, partially because it is profit driven and not necessarily innovation driven anymore.
Yes, i.e. the car.
Yeah. Although, let's say this, the car hasn't really made any significant strides since 1910. I'm just saying.
Right. But the car, when you drive it off the lot, you're going to have maybe 3 good years.
That's why I have my 2003 Toyota Corolla
hmm
with
When they were making
160,000
cars,
miles.
when they were making cars, not necessarily for profit, but they were going to last
Exactly.
a
Exactly.
few 100,000 miles.
Exactly. And things have happened obviously to my car but there's been nothing major like, oh, I have to replace the transmission and things like that. And then when I lift the hood, I mean, the engine looks brand new, to be honest. It looks new. So, every time I take it in for little things, I do my normal oil changes and stuff. They're like, don't get another car. This one is fine. I said, "Look, if I were you, this is a good car. Leave it." And I'm like, no problem, because I don't fancy a car note. And the beauty and the shininess of a new car only lasts for a little bit. Then it's just your car, you know?
Right.
So
Right. So, yes, so technology will continue to move forward, and there's things we're going to need to adopt to, and some stuff we don't have to, but we just need to be prepared for whatever the new thing comes along and decide whether or not it's going to enhance or improve our lives.
mm-hmm.
So now that is our week in tech history. TJ sent us a story, and I thought that was still up here, but I guess not. Okay, I'm going to share the screen and do this again. Maybe it only lasts a certain time. That was just weird. Okay, so let's hear from TJ
Okay.
right now.
Here are the latest social media updates for the week ending December 27, 2024. Instagram tests a way to show you story highlights you might have missed. Instagram is testing a way for you to see content from friends that you might have missed. The social network has started displaying unseen story highlights from a user's mutual followers at the end of the stories tray, which is the area at the top of your feed where you see stories from your friends. You will only see the unseen story highlights when you get through all of the current stories in the tray. This means that if you follow a bunch of people and don't always get to the end of your stories tray, you might not see the highlights. Note that the feature won't display standard stories that disappear after 24 hours. Only story highlights, which are the curated stories that users have saved to their profiles. Blue Sky is testing a trending topics feature. Social network Blue Sky is testing a trending topics view. The trending topics are visible both on the desktop and mobile apps of the social network for users across the world. Trending topics on the right sidebar, and on the mobile app, you can tap on the search button to look at them. Blue Sky said trending topics are currently available only in English. Users can disable trending topics by going to Settings and Content and Media and then unchecking the Enable Trending Topics option. And that is your social media news and updates for this week.
Okay,
Love
TJ,
it.
thank you.
Love it.
I do too. I'm looking at all her little assistants and people that she have in there. I'm like, huh, wonder who I need to ask some questions.
Absolutely.
Because you know Sora is out now for public use.
Oh, yes. Well, I was going to show you
Okay,
some things.
well, I'm going to let you move on with your stories then, and let's put you in the seat of honor over here, and let's talk about what is up for this week in media.
Yeah. So again, this is a holiday week. It is quite quiet. But I do have a few things that I saw that are going on that I wanted to share. But I wanted to kind of start with tech a little bit. So, since we're coming out of tech, I have a few tech things. So I don't know if you tried to use any of OpenAI's products yesterday, but they were down for a significant amount of the day. Now,
Mm,
I use Chat GPT with a vengeance. Definitely.
mhm.
Oh, and look who's here, Barbara Tomlin. Good morning and
Hey,
happy
Barb.
holidays to you. And Fran, I forgot to tell you happy holidays. A shame
Oh,
on
happy
me.
holidays. It is always implied. Hey, Barb, good morning.
Yes, yes. Good morning, Barb. I hope you had a great holiday. Happy Christmas Kwanzaa to everyone out there too.
I love it.
Whatever it is you celebrate, wishing you the best of the holiday season. So it was down for a significant amount of time yesterday. I signed up for alerts to let me know when things were happening. And as this was happening, I was like, maybe I should unsubscribe to that because I'm getting too many alerts. But it was good to know. That it was down. So you can go to OpenAI and you can sign up for alerts for not only ChatGPT, but also Sora and some of the other APIs they have. Now, Sora was also down. So it did not just affect ChatGPT, it was also Sora. So if you were looking to do anything with generative AI using OpenAI's products, yesterday was a wash. And maybe it's a good thing because there were people obviously at work, but many people were still, it's Boxing Day, the day after Christmas. Many
Mhm.
people are still probably in vacation mode, so they may not have been doing that. So that's maybe a plus for OpenAI. But it's interesting, and it got me to thinking about technology and our plan B. So, number one, this is exactly why you need to know how to write. There are some people who are relying on ChatGPT to write everything for them. It follows you need to know how to write first, and then to kind of refine some things, you can then go ahead and enter it into something that's generative AI. Now, ChatGPT is not the only one. Okay, you have Gemini by Google. You have some other things, and another thing I'm about to show you soon, in just a moment.
Mhm.
But what has happened is ChatGPT has become like Kleenex now. So whenever we're talking about generative AI, and this was quick, right? Usually it takes some time before something becomes a household name. But I guess
Right.
because this was, one of few, best in class right now is ChatGPT, and that's what has happened. So yeah, it was overrun yesterday. Exactly, Barbara. So if you were looking to use it, but again, number one, you need to know how to write yourself. Number two, you need to know not only how to write, but how to somewhat refine what you do on your own. So you should know how to self edit. I'm not saying you have to write a whole book and then edit it yourself. That also doesn't make sense because you need a second eye, but you should have enough. All of us went through enough schooling in the K through 12 level that you should be able to write an intelligible paper. Now, I'm not asking for dissertation level stuff, but you should be able to do things and then self edit.
Okay.
Then go
Let
ahead.
me let me interject on that point right there. That is why when you hit college, they ask you to take English 1A again.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. If you end up going to college, because some people don't. But here's the thing, even when you go to graduate school, I have a very strong writing background. Listen, let me toot my own horn. If there's one thing I can do, I can write. I know that I write and I write well. So I don't necessarily need a chat GPT to write things for me, but it does help you think about a different way of saying something, especially, our vocabularies. We're like, okay, well, how can I say this differently? Chat GPT can help with that type of thing, the rewrite process. So
Yes.
that's one thing. But there are some people who maybe you did not go to college and you stopped you stopped at 12th grade or before, and that's your level of writing. I get it. But so when you go to college, they make you do that. But then even grad school, because I wrote so well, I passed the expository writing exam well enough. So they also make you take another test at some graduate programs to make sure that you can do graduate level writing. When I tell you there were so many people that failed, and so if you failed it, you then needed to take a writing class to bring you up to graduate level writing. I was the
Yep.
only one that did like, oh, are you taking this class? No, I passed the exam. No shade, but I passed. So that I said that to say that I'm secure with my level of writing, but be secure in your level of writing. Okay. And yeah,
And Barb said it definitely pays to get good grades in English grammar throughout your writing journey.
absolutely. The good grades and to be able to um, use them to express yourself. Because one thing is, and not to make this a whole English lesson, but we already know that we write much differently than what we speak. So, and you can see the evidence of this when you are using talk to text and it writes it out and you're like, that's not good. But we speak more colloquially than what we write. So that's another thing, that if you're doing that, you can't leave it as is. You need to go back and correct that. So, all right, this was long. What am I trying to say here? There is a point to this. So there's also, when you do all of that, get yourself prepared manually. Now we can look to the technology. So then you put it in your Chat GPT, your Geminis, or whatever. Oh, but pretend that your generative AI of choice is Chat GPT and it was down. And especially for those of you who pay you, how dare you be down? There are other alternatives. So this is when you need your plan B. Plan A should always be, I know how to write this myself and I don't need the help, but it can help me refine. Plan B is, let me use some generative AI to help me refine. Plan C is, Chat GPT is down. Now what do I do? So again, like I said, Google has Gemini and there are others. Here's one. If you go to Poe, Poe, is it .ai or .com? I don't remember. Poe aggregates a bunch of these I think about 5 generative AI sites, Chat GPT included, and you can use any of those. So with one sign in, you could use the free version of any of those. So of course there are limitations to what you can do with that. After a while, you time out and you get bumped to like a lower level of something. But in addition to having your own Chat GPT, Gemini, Bard, all of those types of things, you can also use Poe.ai, I think, or Poe.com, Poe, and you'll be able to have one sign in and get access to these different generative AI engines, basically. So
Okay.
that's another one. Now, plan D, which is really to me a plan A, there is a wonderful tool called I Think Content, ithinkcontent.com, all one word. It is the best ever. And I actually know the person who developed this. She's one of the people in Shay Cannon's group. She has this mentorship group, and she developed I Think Content, and she's a Black woman. And I think she's an engineer as well, but she developed it. And if you need a rewriter, to me, hers is the best rewriter I've ever seen. So again, it's ithinkcontent.com. Let me see if I can pull it up.
Okay. And then I can put it in here too.
Oh,
So,
okay. Yes, it's ithinkcontent.com. I was trying to see if I was signed in because
oh, then we can see how it works.
yeah, so you can see how it works. Let's
Ooh,
see.
I'm
Yep,
putting.
good. I am signed in because sometimes if you're signed in and you try to open another window, it doesn't sign you in the other one. So I'm like, okay, good. I'm signed in. So let's share the screen. I hope you
Okay.
all are okay with this. Let's see. Present. And where are you? Okay, here we go. All right. You should be able to see my screen.
And we can. Let me
Share
move this.
content.
Okay.
Yes. All right. So you can see it's a very, very simple interface. It's called I Think Content. And if you look over here to the left side of the screen, underneath the I Think Content, you could go back to your dashboard, right? Which is all the information about you. It has an AI writer. So I have used this often when I am posting social media captions, etc.
Mm-hmm.
If you need help with social media captions and you just want to put in a few ideas, you can do that. So you can see all the things that it does as well. It will do a title generator for your posts. You could summarize text, excuse me. You could do product descriptions. You could generate articles on any topic. So it's really good. You could even do things like Facebook ads, and obviously captions for social media. But look at all the different things you can do with that. Now, for these types of things, the grammar correction and the custom, it does require an upgrade. So, but it does a lot of these things. And again, here's the thing, and this is good for me as a professor. Oh, you can also do some AI video. I have not tried this yet, but I'm going to, and I will report back.
Okay.
So if you look here, plagiarism checker, this is perfect for those, as a professor. I do have access to turnitin.com, which I think now also scans for AI, but there's this. So I could check to see how much of a paper is plagiarized, but also if you happen to be writing something and you just inadvertently put in something, it will tell you how much of an article or a piece is plagiarized. And then here's the AI detector. You can also detect with this, how much is plagiarized. The other thing that I like about this is the rewriter, right? So if you say you have something from Chat GPT, right? And then you put it in, because now there are ways for people to check how much of something obviously is AI generated. So say you write something and you have Chat GPT help you retool it, and then you go to this AI detector, right? And it tells you the percentage of AI that has been used for the piece. If you put that same piece into the AI rewriter, it will reduce the amount of
AI
AI
generation.
Yes, exactly.
Ooh.
Yes. So that's helpful so that you don't get dinged on things. But again, remember, you always need to start with your own ideas and have a framework, and then you can use that to help you. Hey, Carlos Phoenix is
Yes.
here. How are you?
Carlos is in the house.
Good morning. And it actually is morning for once when you said, hey. Um, I'm sorry, we're gonna say something. I didn't want to.
No, I'm just like I like the idea of being able to check something and see how much is AI. I love this. And
Yes.
Carlos said I broke ChatGPT yesterday. I told it to write our PI completely.
Oh, she told it to write out pie. That's terrible.
Oh,
Ev-
Carlos.
Pi is like that, as like a
That,
never-ending number. Do we ever use pi? I know that's the circumference of a circle, but do we ever really use pi?
no, because not since they changed math. Okay.
Forget that. That's what. See, That's why I forever will use calculator, because I'm like, this is rubbish. Why are you how you can't just change processes? It's only the US, the same country, that will change time so that it suits them when the sun rises and falls. You can't do that. Time is time.
Oh my gosh.
But I guess they could change math if they can change time. Whatever. So, in any case, this is really great, and like I said, I actually know the person who developed this, so it is a great thing to have in your arsenal. As I think with AI, it's not just about alternatives; it's also about using all of them in concert in your arsenal. So yesterday, ChatGPT was down, no problem. This is where I came, and I love the way it writes out stuff. It's different from what ChatGPT would generate. So there you have it. I just wanted to do this.
And Carlo, on the subject of math, Carlos says 2 + 2 = 3.
Yes, and new math. I'm sure it does. It's
Or 5 or some weirdness.
Absolutely. So that's what I wanted to talk about with that. So check it out. I think content, and then also check out other generative AIs, because again, since ChatGPT was down, it is what it is. So with Sora.
Okay, Barb has a quick comment here before we move on to that. She says, but I think content states that it uses ChatGPT 3.5 and 4.
Yes, no, exactly. So, the thing is, remember, those formulas are not the only, because if you think about it, so does Bard, because remember, it's Microsoft. So there are other generative AIs, but I think they use it differently, right?
Right.
So, she's definitely done something. Oh, and Carlos uses Apple Intelligence. Yeah, that's another one. If you are part of that Apple ecosystem. And here's the thing. I don't think Apple Intelligence is on machines, but is there a way to use Apple Intelligence if you happen not to be using an Apple product?
I don't think so, because that's why it's called Apple Intelligence, because Apple Intelligence is all on your devices. It's not. Carlos answered that. He said no.
Well, I'm sure they want it to be proprietary, but let's be clear, Apple also likes money. So I'm sure as we speak, they're trying to figure out a way to make this for sale somehow to the public who are not buying Apple products.
Now, there was a young lady, I watched her. No, there was a guy on YouTube who was teaching how to use Apple Intelligence more efficiently. And instead of having Siri do it, you can set it up where you can tell S to contact ChatGPT for answers and stuff, bypassing the whole little middleman. But we'll talk about that later. I thought it was really interesting.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay, fantastic. And Carlos has a few comments.
He says it uses the onboard processor. It expands by using ChatGPT and soon Gemini inside Siri. Ooh.
Right. Yeah. So a lot of these things, you all are absolutely correct. A lot of these platforms do rely on ChatGPT. But here's the thing, ChatGPT and some others, as you were saying. So, but here's the thing. Yesterday, I think content didn't have a problem, but ChatGPT did. So that's why it pays, even if it's the same ecosystem, you're not going to have the same level of, if ChatGPT is down, that doesn't mean everything else is down, because I was fine there.
Right.
So it's the technology more so than the platform.
Correct.
But, yeah.
So what you're saying is ChatGPT's and Sora's platforms, or who are they? OpenAI's platform might have been down, not necessarily what was happening in the midst.
Correct. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So And Carlos says
Uh, App-
Apple. Sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Apple Intelligence is its own, but will incorporate most other AI as enhancements as it grows, and but at an operating system level. Yeah, I think that makes sense. It's kind of like, if you think about it, stitching, when for those people who do live streaming, etc., and you do live streaming in the field, when you are stitching signals together so that you can have the best reception,
Mhm.
because when you are live streaming in the field, you're heavily dependent upon things, but stitching stitching the networks together allows you to have a better stream. So it feels like it's kind of that same content. And he said it also works nice in CarPlay. Oh, well, good for
Yes,
them.
Carlos uses everything, you guys, just so you know.
He is the ultimate techie. He really,
Yeah,
really
he is.
is. And so I'm going to show you, speaking of Sora. So Sora was down yesterday, and Carlos, I know you have already played with Sora, and you may have already had access to it before the general public. I wouldn't be surprised if you did not. So I want to show some. I've been playing with this because I've been on the edge of my seat waiting for Sora to come out to the general public. I didn't even bother saying, "Hey, I'll just wait." So when it was released, I was there, and I was seriously checking every day. And then the one day that I did not check in the morning, somebody said, "Have you seen?" So I said, "When?" I just checked yesterday. It's not out yet. Sure enough, like right after I had checked, they released it. So I've been playing a lot with Sora. And again, like any generative AI video, there are some issues with it.
Yes.
So let me play this for you, and I'll tell you the prompt I use. But tell me if you can see what the issues are with this video.
Okay.
All right. So I did a wine show with Gwendolyn, who does a wine show on Indie Soup. And so she wanted to do a special. I said, "Well, why don't we do it live?" And she said,
Okay.
"Okay." So,
So,
uh, oh, wait, I didn't open it yet. Hold on.
okay, and Carlos says, all my lives were AI for the past few years. I have not been on camera in a long time. And
I don't know why.
then he says, kidding. Okay, Carlos.
Wait a minute. Why is it not I have it open and it's not picking
If
up
you
the
have
window
hit,
that's open?
you have a tab, you're on a tab
Oh,
that,
there we go. Okay, I had to reopen it. It should pick it up now.
okay, and then hit your present and I will bring it in.
Mhm. There we go. Okay, fantastic. All right, so you see this. This is something I did for the wine show, and I gave it the prompt of um, create an African American woman with a curly afro wearing a royal blue tunic, pouring wine from a bottle into a wine glass. And I explained what the kitchen should look like, etc. So I'm going to play it, and we can only do 5 seconds of things, obviously, on the plan I have. But take a look. Did you see what the issue is?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll play it once again. And I'm
Everybody
like,
please comment, but I'm like, okay.
hold on, let me go back because this was over. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing now. So obviously, yeah. Okay, so
Carl,
Carlos said she kept smiling, not realistic. And I put that in the prompt that she should be smiling, because then otherwise I thought that she might look mean. So I was like, make sure she's smiling. But you're absolutely right. It doesn't look as realistic. It's pretty good, but it's still
mhm.
not as realistic. Also, you have to really put in the prompt if you want them to have bodies that everybody has, like, because every time I create something, they seem to be super, super slim. And I'm like, okay, there are slim people, but I'm like, everybody is not this slim. So you have to put that in your prompt as the parameters so that you don't end up with the super slims. And so here's the thing. We think that technology is bias free. It is not, because they're
Mm-mm.
training it on the models they want. And in their head, the perfect body is that. And so you're getting things that are trained on AI models based off of what engineers, etc., are training them off of. So we're getting the biases of the engineers, right?
Mhm.
So nothing is ever bias free. Well, let's just know that the biases of the engineers often creep into all of this. So, but the big thing is, I told it to be pouring in. You said Ozempic. You know what? Exactly. And Carlos said the levitating glass. That's the thing. I'm like, I told you to pour it into the glass, not for her to do David Copperfield magic so that it's floating. No.
I was like, okay.
So there's still quite a ways to go with this. I mean, part of the thing is too, even if I'm not claiming to be a prompt engineer, but something like that should be simple, because I was very specific in terms of what I wanted her to do. But now, as it stands, you can't give them things that are too difficult to do. Very fine motor skill type of thing. Yeah, you can walk, you could, but don't tell it to do like a specific dance. You're going to be sad.
Right. I think what is happening is um they want it to be where you can just simply say something and it gets it. We're getting there, but we've not quite got there. Now for Chat GPT, when you say something, it'll work out what it is you're trying to say and fix all that. The imagery, not yet. The
Exactly.
Yeah, they're still no, that is not what I said.
And the interesting thing is too, so obviously, and you can appreciate this because you're a realtor. I have been trying to do some AI things to include in the social media that I do for the realtor I work with. So just simple things. And the great thing is, it's like I told AI to create a house in Fort Lauderdale. So it really got the spirit of what Fort Lauderdale is. And when you see it, it's fine. Then I said, create a kitchen for this house, right? The kitchens were great, but I'm like, why is there a faucet with no sink? So it will do things like that. Like I told it marble countertop, Carrera marble countertop, that type of thing. And it was beautiful, but the faucet was there, but there was no sink. I'm like, now common sense would tell you to do that. But because we're not at that point, I have to physically tell you, place a sink. The sink should be XYZ, this and this. So you have to be very specific with your prompts.
And Carlos has a prompt. African
African.
Americans version of Doctor Strange with glass, and make sure she's on Ozempic inside a nice kitchen is the prompt.
And see, don't play, because I'll do that and see what it comes up with. That could actually be quite cool. Again, I really do want to be proficient in prompt engineering, because I think it'll be so much better. It's not like I'm that great, but I mean, come on, the floating glass. So
Yeah, and this late just by you talking about the prompt engineering, the people who thought that this technology is going to take over your job, not if you're a prompt engineer and you know how to use the tool to help people. Like there are other people who can't articulate what it is that they want. You can do that.
exactly. And let's be clear, it still takes a fair amount of work on your part. You still have to come up with the prompts. You can, and by the way, you can also ask these generative AI like Chat GPT, give me a prompt for, and put it
Yes.
what in there, and it will give you. So it's like meta prompting, prompt within a prompt, right? You can
Mhm.
ask Chat GPT for a prompt, or any of these generative AIs for a prompt AIs. AI platforms for a prompt. So
Mhm.
that's what I wanted to show, because especially since we were down yesterday, so Chat GPT, I wanted to give you that, some alternatives, and then also to show you what I've been working with in Sora. Now, again, people are like, and Carlos can appreciate this. Oh, the movie industry. Oh, no. If the movie industry has a problem, it's your own doing. It has, and this started before AI. So do
Yes,
not
it did.
blame AI for this. This is you all and your wayward practices and thinking nothing ever will change, so you don't change. That has nothing to do with AI. You're the dinosaur.
And isn't this one of the reasons that Tyler Perry did not move forward with Soundstage?
Well, this is right on time, because some of his scripts are a little su- suspect and interesting. So wacky AI is right on board with that. But I mean, I think, to be honest, I get where he's going with that, and I think it's going to be better. But I don't know if I want to say that move seems premature, because it seems right on time. But let me be quiet. You okay, Tyler Perry? Okay, so
There's this is going to be really interesting. Anytime there's a shift in technology, it will be interesting, and you
it will
need to
be.
be nimble. Read the room. Where are we going?
Absolutely. So let me get on to some media stories really quickly. Let's talk a little bit about Christmas Day. Did you watch the game
Okay,
on Christmas, the
which
football game?
game? The football game?
The football game. Yes, it was.
I did
I think
not.
that was only game one. Yeah, so it was a matchup between it was the Baltimore Ravens, and it was in Houston. So I'm guessing it was the Cowboys.
It was Houston
Oh, that's
Oilers.
Oilers, right? Because Dallas is Cowboys, so the Houston Oilers. I don't know who was playing. I just know that Baltimore won. And I am not a football fan. So it was at the house I went to, they were watching it, and obviously they were watching the game, but people were interested in the halftime show and Beyonce. So Beyonce did the halftime Christmas show, and that all the Beehive were happy about that.
Mm.
So, as expected, Netflix actually had a very impressive audience for the two Christmas Day NFL matchups. So it was the Chiefs and the Steelers, and the Ravens Texans.
Mm.
Who, I guess, the Houston Texans. Is that the
That
one?
is
I don't know.
correct. The Houston
Okay,
Texans.
that makes sense. Okay, so these are the first ever NFL games on Netflix. So, and they put up unduplicated audiences of nearly 65 million US viewers on December 25th. And this is according to live plus same day data from Nielsen. So the latter game, which was the second of the day, the Ravens Texans, that's the one that had the Beyonce halftime show. That was a slightly larger audience because of that halftime show.
Mm.
So they managed to average an audience of 24.3 million viewers, and US viewership peaked with more than 27 million viewers during the halftime show. So this means that there were people that, listen, I don't give a damn about football. However, I do want to see Beyonce. And around
Mm.
halftime, you would have a whole bunch of people that would tune in. I'm telling you. These are the people, I'm sure, that went to HBCUs, because none of us cared about the football. We went for the halftime show, for the bands. And then we stayed. Yeah, and then we would come at the beginning. You have your little rah-rah, you do the halftime show, then everybody leaves. Not everybody, but I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. So it feels very similar to that. But yes, it was, and it was a really good show. I am not, you know, forgive me, I am not the biggest, I'm not like a Beehive member or a big Beyonce fan, but it was a really well thought out, well planned show. Her daughter Blue Ivy was also part of the dancing crew for that as well. It was all the songs were from and of course, Houston is her hometown. So all the songs were from the Cowboy Carter album, and it was right on time. Obviously, it makes sense. It's Houston. There's of course the arguments as to whether or not she's not country, she's this, she's that. But I will say this, that often people try to pigeonhole artists into whatever hole they're in. And especially if she was probably, not that she didn't want to sing R&B, but she apparently, according to her, she's been wanting to do a country album for a while. But when people see you as one thing, they don't see you as something else. Now, this is interesting because Darius Rucker, who was the head singer of Hootie and the Blowfish, was able to successfully transition into a country music career. So he had all those albums with Hootie and the Blowfish, which is alternative. It's like, I guess, Seattle grunge, basically. Then he had one R&B album, which I liked. It was really good, but R&B, you could tell that's not really his genre. He just had that, and it was a lot of collabs. And then he transitioned into country. Now, I don't remember whether or not there was outrage or uproar, but I'm like, it's very interesting that somebody who was a grunge Seattle was able to, and not, I don't even know where he's from, etc. But somebody that is from Texas, and country music has a very big stronghold there. Cowboy culture is huge there. And cowboy culture initially was African American, if you go back to the roots of it. So I don't know why now, because it has a different face, she could not be involved. So again, this has nothing to do with me being a fan necessarily of Beyonce. I like her well enough, but I also don't like people being put in boxes. So if she wants to sing country, gosh darn it, let her sing country. But it was a good performance nonetheless. And you could check that out. It is all over YouTube if you are interested. All right. So let's talk a little bit about Wicked. So Universal Pictures is bringing Wicked to digital platforms on December 31st, which is like in what, 4 days, 3 or 4 days. So you'll finally, fans of the Broadway musical will finally be able to enjoy the magic from the comfort of their home. And this actually makes a fitting year with a much anticipated home release. So along with the movie, you can look forward to bonus features, including a sing-along version. Now, I don't know if you remember the whole controversy with singing along, because it's a musical. So lots of people were, singing along in the theaters, and I guess some people were bothered. Well, guess what? Movies are a collaborative effort, especially a musical. So if you thought people were going to sit there and be quiet, I don't know. But, Cynthia Erivo, loved the idea of people singing along to this. So I guess they're like, do it in your own home. So they have a bonus features, which is a sing-along version, the behind the scenes documentaries, and commentary from the director and the cast. There's also going to be extended and deleted scenes, such as additional performances by Ariana Grande and Bowen Yang, and a longer forest scene from Alphaba. I don't know if they say it Alphaba or Alphaba. I think it's Alphaba and Fierro. And this is to kind of lure in the diehard fans. Now, Wicked has already grossed nearly 400 million domestically and more internationally, and I don't have those numbers. So, and of course, it cemented its status as a theatrical hit on Broadway. So, this home release will see the story reaching people in a much wider capacity, because again, if you did not have access, if you did not see the Broadway musical, you did not have access to that. If you did not now you're going to be able to see it in the comfort of your home. And this is really quick. Because it just came out. So that's why I wasn't in a rush to go see Wicked, because I'm like, it's going to come out, trust me, by the end of the year. And here we go. It is. So check it out. It will be out by the end of the year, the 31st. I'm trying to see where it is going to be. Give me a second. Um Okay, so the movie will be available for digital renter and purchase on platforms like Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV, YouTube, Fandango at Home, Microsoft Movies and TV, Comcast Xfinity, Verizon TV, Spectrum On Demand, and DirecTV. So you've got a myriad of ways that you can watch that. And if you're a collector, the 4K UHD or ultra high def, Blu-ray, and DVD editions are going to hit the shelves February 4th next year. That's my birthday. And platforms like Amazon and Walmart as well. So if you're a Wicked fan, I guess you think it's wicked good that it is going to be released for rental, digital rental on the 31st, and then February 4th, you'll be able to get a hard copy if you are a collector. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Logan Paul. Now, if you don't know Logan Paul, he is a YouTuber, a content creator, the brother to Jake Paul, who just fought Mike Tyson. And here's the thing. After the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight smashed streaming viewership records and broke Netflix, now his brother Logan is hoping to do the same thing for WWE Raw, which is wrestling, World Wrestling Entertainment, and that's going to debut next month on Netflix. Listen, Netflix is taking all the things, all the bets on everything. By the way, when we were talking about Beyonce has a 3-project deal with Netflix. So Homecoming was the first one. This second one was actually this Christmas game. So the halftime show during the game, I think that's the second part of that. So she has another project coming up with Netflix. Netflix did that fight, the Logan, the Paul, what's his name? Tyson fight. And now he's looking to come to the brother. They're looking to come to the brother, Logan Paul, and he's returning to the WWE next year to be one of the stars of Raw. And January 6th, it will make its debut. So what I didn't know is that Paul joined the WWE in 2022. I think I forgot that, but he's actually been on hiatus for much of this last year and this year. And now he's been reintroduced to the company by WWE Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque and Raw GM Adam Pearce at an event hosted by the company in their Stamford, Connecticut headquarters. So in front of about 400 fans in the lobby of downtown, Paul emerged to a chorus of boos before leaning into some crowd work with those in attendance. So he says this: "Every single one of my matches is a banger. Think about it. Mike Tyson wants to fight me. Conor McGregor wants to fight me. Of course they do. A payday with a Paul brother is a bucket list item for most all of these washed up fighters." Those are fighting words right there. But again, it's theater. So that's what they do. It's WWE is pure entertainment, which is why it's called. It used to be the WWF, World Wrestling Federation. It's entertainment. So they switch to that. So for those that want more of the Paul brothers, you'll be able to catch Logan Paul with WWE on Netflix. And that's actually what I have for you for today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tachi. And thank you all who were joining us on this last day for Tech Life Weekly for 2024. We want to say thank you. You could have been somewhere else. Barb stepped in today, Carlos, some of you who were not, vocal about it. We just want to say thank you for tuning in. We are going to be back next year. The next Friday will be the first Friday of the year. We're probably going to have a lot to talk about in tech as new things are evolving in the world of tech. So stay tuned. Now, remember, you can catch Dr. Tachi on Indie Soup Media
Yes.
and on Mediascope on
Yes.
Wednesdays. Yes, yes.
Yes.
So find her everywhere, Instagram, indiesuitmedia.tv. You will enjoy the content there. TJ and Terralina will be back with us next week. We want to say thank you. You can become a part of the Biz Chicks community by texting biz to 33777 or going to bizchicks.net. However you got here, we want to say we're glad that you came, and remember that we're here to help you take the hassle out of your hustle, and we'll see you next year. Have a wonderful rest of the week.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.